You also went through a lot of hardship. I read that your mother was an alcoholic and a drug user. You suffered abuse as a result of your mother chasing you out of the house with a knife when you were 17. There are so many people that come from these kinds of dysfunctional backgrounds.
Yes.
And there's a raging debate in this country about entitlements and tax write-offs on the other side. What is the balance? Now that you're a wealthy man, but you come from that existence, you're very qualified to talk about that.
Well, I personally think there has to be a balance. You know, I'm more conservative in my approach economically, but I'm more democratic in my social view of things. I think we need to find that unique balance. To cut food stamps for 2 million people and just think it's all going to come together, to me is insane. It's totally insane. There are people that need help. My family needed help, and we survived on food stamps at one point.
When you say that in your circles, how does that go over?
Not always really well, right? But I challenge people on it. I'm not saying that you give somebody welfare for life. I mean, giving people money while they're unemployed year after year without giving them any requirement or without training them, saying those jobs that went away are going to come back, and we all know it's not true, that's insane also. So it's really, truly a balance of those two things. But my goal was really not political. My goal was say, how do I help the average person right now to start to take control? And most people think they have to have a lot of money to do it. You know, there's a guy in the book I described as Theodore Johnson, worked for UPS, never made more than $14,000 in a year in his life, and at 70 years old was worth $70 million. How? When you ask Warren Buffett, you ask him, how'd you get rich? He says 3 things. Born in America, opportunity here. Great genes, I live a long time. And compound interest, baby. That guy took 20%. Theodore Johnson took 20%. He said he had no money to take aside, set it aside where he never saw it, and just compounded in the stock worth $70 million. So I want people to know you don't have to be rich to be financially stable, financially free, but you have to become an owner. Don't just have an iPhone, own Apple. And you don't want to just own Apple, you want to have an asset allocation that works. I'll tell you one more thing. When I went to Ray Dalio, all these people, when I went to Ray, you know, Bridgewater, you know, largest hedge fund on the face of the earth, $160 billion. 10 years ago, if you wanted to work with Ray, you had to have a $5 billion net worth and a $100 million initial investment, or you can't even get in the door. Today, he doesn't care how much money you have. He won't do it. He's closed in. So I spent 3 hours with Ray. Amazing man. Prepared for 15, 18 hours in advance, so I'd be ready to pitch and catch with him. So I asked him the same question I asked everybody. I said, if you couldn't give any of your money to your children, not a dime, they're starting from scratch, and they were going to build, and they were going to go through those gut checks that the market really makes all of us go through at times. Is there a way? What would be your strategy? What would be your portfolio? So Tony, he said, I worked on it for a decade. It's called my all-weather strategy. I've used it for myself. My money's in it. My kids' money's in it. My future philanthropic money's in it. I said, why? He said, because no matter what markets do, up or down, there's always something that's going right. And I figured out this matrix. So he explains it to me. So I said, I'm going to put this in the book, but there's one problem, Ray. The average person is going to look at this and go, this is amazing, but how do I execute? And complexity is the enemy of execution. I need to know the percentages. It's like you told me, here's to make the ultimate chocolate cake, and here's what you told me. Use some chocolate, use some sugar, use some flour. How much? And he goes, Tony, come on. That's my secret sauce. That's where 5 billion, 100 billion. I go, yeah, but you just told me you're not going to take any money. You haven't taken money for 10 years. He's going to give away half his net worth. And he is an incredibly generous human being. So in the end, he said, well, it's too complex. I said, I can simplify it. He said, well, I use leverage. I said, design one without leverage. He goes, it wouldn't be perfect. I said, well, your idea not perfect will be somebody else's idea of it perfect. So he gives me this formula, this asset allocation. We go back and back test it. 75 years. Now, you know, the last 10 years, we've had 250% drawdowns, 2000, 2008, right? Imagine the volatility of the last 75 years. In 75 years, it's been accurate and made money 85% of the time. And when it's lost, those little 15% of the time, its average loss is 1.6%. The most it's lost in 75 years, with all those 50% up, down, signs, is minus 4%, minus 3.95. And the return has been just under 10%. So an average person can spend 15 minutes a year doing a little rebalance and do his formula. And this book has also got David Swenson's formula. Like, what did he do to take 1 billion, turn it to 24 billion at Yale? I got the best of the best to share the average person what they can do right now.
You did, but what is the hardest thing about counseling these people on the other side, especially uber successful people like Bill Clinton and Carl Icahn, and what's the key to winning their trust in your abilities and getting them to listen to what you tell them?
2 things. Results, and you know, what opens the door is the results you've gotten for other people. All the doors are open because someone else says, let me show you what Tony's done for me. And that's usually very private, sometimes it's public. But then the other part is, if people get that you sincerely care and you can produce results, great. if you sincerely care and you can't produce results, nobody gives a damn. But I think when people feel cared for, that allows their guard down. And I think if you can produce results, that's what keeps it not only down, but engages them with you. And fortunately, I've 37 years of producing results for the top athletes on earth, top financial traders, politicians, and general population.